It's the worst one of the bunch. Hey, on HTD today, I'm tasting a whole lot of spiced rum. Ah! Oh my God, that is bad. I'm pouring this out to find out if any of it's any good. And I have low expectations. We've been talking about rum on the show for a long time. I always say that rum is a many splendored thing. Spiced rum is a whole other category of thing altogether. And I want to start by saying that, like, spiced rum is not dark rum. So rum that is dark in color is not necessarily spiced rum. Spiced rum, dark rum are not synonyms. And I just want to make that point expressly clear. If you want to know more about the practical applications of rum, I strongly encourage you to get a copy of this book. As you can see, mine has seen better days. Smuggler's Cove, Martin Cate with Rebecca Cate. Great section on categorizing rums. And actually, we're going to make a recipe from it today because I'm going to be making my own spiced rum, and I'm using his recipe. More on that in a minute. I love tiki drinks. I make a lot of tiki drinks. I'm a big fan of Mai Tais and zombies and all those things. You know, I've been drawing a blank now. But why don't you see spiced rum called for in more cocktails, particularly when you talk about classic tiki cocktails? Well, that's because as a product, spiced rum did not exist for sale, as far as anybody could tell, prior to this guy, Captain Morgan, came to market in 1984. That's basically the beginning of spiced rum. And spiced rum is basically defined by Captain Morgan in 1984. The classic age, the golden age of tiki drinks is all the 50s, it's mid-centuries, way before there was ever a Captain Morgan. So it doesn't call for spiced rum. All these recipes are built using traditional rums, you know, from various places and different distillation techniques. That's why spiced rum is really just not a factor in any kind of, like, you know, classic mixology. It just doesn't really come up. I'm not saying that there aren't cocktails that call for spiced rum. I can't think of one off the top of my head, although I did bring some Coke cans out because basically I'm like, oh, spiced rum, what do you do? Yeah, make a rum and Coke. That's about it. And that's the whole story on spiced rum, guys. That's really it. That is it. Sure, locally, individually, traditionally, people have added spices and infusions to their rum, whether it's sweeteners or spices. I don't know why my brain wants to say herbs, but I mean spices, spiced rum. It's just, I say spice a lot, spicy, spice. And you start wanting to be like a thesaurus. I got nothing else, it's just spices. But I think there's really no further ado. Let's get into that tasting spiced rum. Let's start with where it begins. Let's start with Captain Morgan. And I should say too, I am gonna make my own spiced rum in this episode through the magic of TV. It's already done. I'll be making it again and giving the recipe, but I'll be tasting that one last. I'm very excited about that. So here we go, a little snort of the old Captain Morgan. I don't know that in my whole life I've ever tasted Captain Morgan. Unfortunately, Meredith is in the process of doing some wedding stuff, so I don't have her to banter with. This would be a great thing to banter with Meredith about. Meredith, Captain Morgan, what do you think about it? Dead, lonely silence. Yeah, what does that smell like? Yeah, like caramel, like artificial caramel. And if I'm honest, like rubbing alcohol or nail polish remover, like acetone kind of stuff. Not like great stuff, that's for sure. It's probably 70 proof, 70%, right? 70 proof, 70% would be crazy. 70 proof. I think almost all of these are going to be under proof, under 80 by modern proofing standards, or under, obviously Kraken is a standout with 94, but I think all of these are going to be lower than 80 proof. But I'll report that as we go. So Captain Morgan, 70 proof. It's vanilla. It's just vanilla. It tastes like vanilla extract. That is the main ingredient there. It's just vanilla flavored rum. That is it. I mean, there might be some other stuff going on in there, but the only thing that really comes forward is vanilla. Like candy vanilla. Whew. There's nothing else to say about it. All I get is vanilla. And yeah, that'd be great in a Coke. That would go great in a Coke because you make it into a vanilla Coke. Delicious. So, nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying, like, there's no use for it when you're talking about mixology. That's what I'm saying. If you want vanilla in a cocktail, you can just add some vanilla to it. You can use a vanilla infused simple syrup. You can, I'm sure there are vanilla liqueurs out there. I'm not thinking of any off the top of my head. I guess you could use Captain Morgan, but you could also use a rum that tastes like rum, that brings the characters of rum, like funky flavors and like, you know, like oakiness and, you know, the esters that come out of different kinds of stills. Like, none of that is here. None of that is here. And that's by design. That is the purpose of a Captain Morgan is not to be that kind of rum, but mixology, which is such a highfalutin term, I don't love it. It's about elevating, I think when it's at its best, it's about elevating spirits and bringing those spirits to the fore. But the spirits have to be spirits that you would want to elevate, that you would want to explore and extrapolate on and take that flavor profile and accentuate it and drag it out and give it evolution and all that stuff. That is what's interesting to me, and probably a lot of other people too. I don't know, I can't speak for anybody else, but yeah, like when you get right down to it, like something like Captain Morgan just has none of those qualities. But if you're in college, and I'll say no more, let's move on to the next one. Let's do Kraken. I've tasted Kraken before. I did this once on a live stream, full disclosure. I didn't have Captain Morgan though, I just did what we had on hand. Kraken is 94 proof, so 47% alcohol. Phenomenal branding, by the way. I don't want to like slight their branding. The branding is fantastic. It is really dark in color. I think it's pretty, I wonder if it says caramel coloring. I would assume that almost all of these are, you know, dyed, essentially. I don't know if they're required to label it as such. It kind of depends on where they're coming from and where they're being sold. Let's do the Kraken. The Kraken. Now, I want to see, I had a tasting note I've given for this a few times. It tastes so intensely of like artificial vanilla that it reminded me of like vanilla flavored hookah tobacco. Let's see if that holds true. Oh God, it does. It does. Yeah, it's just more vanilla than Captain Morgan. There is a flavor component to it that is like, I would call darker. I don't know, but I think that that could be, oh God, that's bad. I'm sorry. I don't like that at all. Again, I could see it being okay in a very, you know, like a small amount in a Coca-Cola. I could see that being kind of fine. At least the thing that you wouldn't mind terribly drinking, but it is not meant to be drank on its own. It's just not. It's so greasy tasting. I can't explain it. It just tastes like air freshener from a car, like certain kinds of air freshener, or like that hookah tobacco taste. It does have this like, I mean, it's funny, they say it's a black rum. And a black rum, if I'm not mistaken, I'm kind of quoting from memory here, this rum has been artificially age simulated with the inclusion of, I guess it could be the charcoal or char, I should say, but no, mainly like of caramel, burnt caramel, sugars, that kinds of things. And I'm pretty sure that that's probably something like that is going on in there, because it has like a more bitey flavor that I don't think is just from it being in higher in proof. It could be that, but I don't think so. It's like it tastes darker. I don't know how else to explain that, and it physically is darker, so it might be onto something there. But it does taste primarily just like way nasty, artificial, cloying vanilla. I would say also I think it also reads as sweeter than Captain Morgan. Whether or not one has more sugar than the other, we need to get like a refractometer or something like that over here to study that and do a Brix rating on it. All right, this one's closest to me. Shipwreck Spiced Rum. This is 72 proof, so 36% alcohol. Obviously, I have not sampled it yet because I'm opening it right now for the very first time. What's their pitch? What do they got? Aged to perfection, master blended, old rums enjoyed on the high seas long ago. I don't think so. Doesn't tell you what's in it. Note, with our natural flavors, sediment may occur. Huh. Well, it hasn't yet. I'd be interesting if it would. St. Kitts West. Rum with spice and other natural flavors. 4-year-old rum. Okay, well, at least they have an age statement. That's kind of interesting. I mean, that's crazy. So there's an actual age statement on this. I guarantee Kraken doesn't say anything about its age. No. And I know Captain Morgan has no age statement on it. The Captain! All right, so we have an age statement on this. I'll tell you what, I had low expectations for this one in particular, but all of a sudden I'm turning around on it a little bit. Caramel leads with there, not the vanilla. Mainly caramel. Caramel and vanilla, but caramel. So far, none of these taste like spices. That tastes like caramel, principally. In a way that you would associate caramel with the holidays. It might remind you of like baking, but I would not say it tastes like baking spice. Next rum. Just getting right through them. We're gonna go right through these guys. I gotta move them though because I have to get past these. So. Blackheart. Got our sexy pirate pinup lady. 93 proof, rum with spice, caramel, color, and other natural flavors. Okay. They call her Blackheart. We'll see how piratey this is. Down the hatch, me hearties. Oh, Jesus. What does that smell? Cherries. It smells like cherries. Cherries and acetone. It tastes like cherries. Blackheart is cherry flavored rum. No question. That is, if you put that in a Coca-Cola, you're going to get a cherry Coke. Or something real, like lingering cotton candy flavor just came out at me. Wow, I don't like that. I mean, I got nothing against the flavor of cotton candy or cherries. I like them both. I don't know when I last had cotton candy, but sure, I like them in theory. I don't think I like them in rum. It's kind of crazy to me too, that when you talk about like the variation here, like all the other ones have been leading with vanilla with various amounts of caramel. This one is a real departure. So, I mean, it's got that going for it. Now, Lemonheart and Son, I'm interested by, because Lemonheart, they make like some of the coolest rums. Lemon Heart 150 or whatever. You know, Lemon Heart is a rum of necessity behind the bar, I would say. So this is a spiced rum. This is a Demerara rum with natural flavors, spices, and caramel. I mean, it is dark, cola dark, right? So anyway, like, yeah, here's a company that makes that's known for other rums doing a spiced rum. So maybe there's something to this. We'll find out. Huh, ooh, wow. There is actually a lot of cotton candy again. Not as much though. Let me rinse out my mouth. That's interesting. Wait a second. This has a little evolution in it. And by that, I mean, it takes a couple of turns. It's not just one note. It smells like s'mores. It smells like toasting marshmallows and maybe gingerbread. Is that allspice? It could be allspice. And then it goes to a kind of vanilla cotton candy place. I'm still not really sure what you do with it, to be honest, in like a cocktail, other than mix it up with some Coke. Oh, 43%, so 86 proof. Do I like that the most or the least? It's a weird question. So on the one hand, I'm like, geez, that's almost, that does kind of register as like a rum. You know, it doesn't just taste like some kind of flavored junk. It does taste highly flavored though. But also I wonder if it's like not strong enough that it would that just get lost? If I mix that with lime, I don't know, you know, can you get an unspiced Blackpool, as I point with my elbow, whatever that is. If you could get an unspiced Blackpool and make just out of curiosity, a daiquiri with the spiced Blackpool and the unspiced Blackpool, I wonder how much the spice would come through. Sailor Jerry. This one, people love Sailor Jerry. It's got the Norman Sailor Jerry Collins on the back. Rum with natural flavors and caramel color added. All right, yeah, but what kind of rum? Like, that's what I'm saying about that. You can't just say rum. Like, we need more specification. Here we go. Sailor Jerry. Sailor Jerry. Cherries and acetone again. So it's very similar to Blackheart. 92 and 93. I would not be surprised at all to discover that with their very similar branding, that Blackheart and Sailor Jerry were striving for the same flavor profile. Who got the market first and who was the imitator, I don't know. But here we go. This is Sailor Jerry. And I do get cherries and acetone on it, just like this guy. Oh yeah. Oh, that now has a lot of cotton candy, actually. Cherry. I get mostly cherry. Both of these are big cherry rums. I don't taste any other spices, though. I mean, I don't taste any spices at all. I mostly get cherry, but not at first. It tastes almost like nothing. I mean, it starts out just kind of tasting like a fairly neutral rum. That's what it starts out as. And then eventually it resolves into some cherry. Overall, a very disappointing experience. Parrot Bay, my old enemy. Parrot Bay, their pineapple Malibu type stuff. One of the worst things I've ever drank. Oh my God. So here's their spiced rum. 35, so 70 proof. The original Spiced Rum Premium Caribbean rum with spice and other natural flavors. Well, it doesn't try to tell you a story. I think they know. If you're buying the Parrot Bay, they know they got you. They don't need to convince you. It was the only one that was available and you needed spiced rum. So here we go. Parrot Bay spiced rum. Just acetone. It smells like a damn doctor's office. That's of the vanilla type. Very strongly vanilla. Yeah, just vanilla. Tastes like vanilla. Nothing but vanilla. Vanilla. So, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I tasted 7 commercially available spiced rums. What conclusion did we draw? Basically, spiced rums comes in 2 varieties, either vanilla or cherry. And if it's 70 proof, there's a really good chance of it being vanilla variety. And if it's above that, there's a good chance of it being the cherry variety. The only thing that didn't fit that paradigm was the Heart and Sun Blackpool. And this one was a little different. It was a little different. Although I do get now strong caramel and vanilla notes on the nose. On the second tasting, pretty vanilla, like a cherry vanilla combined. I wouldn't say it tastes spicy. None of these taste like spice, right? So I tasted all 7 of these commercially available spiced rums. Now Martin Cate, in his book Smuggler's Cove, says that, hey, look, with very little effort at all, you can make your own spiced rum, flavored exactly how you want it. It'll knock the socks off of all these other things. You know, it's gonna be 1,000 times better and require almost no effort at all. Why aren't you doing that? Why would you not just do that? Why would you buy spiced rum instead of just doing that? So right after this, I'm gonna do it. So to make Martin Cate spiced rum, he gives a recipe that's for a large batch. It requires 2 750 milliliter bottles of rum of your choice. He recommends looking for something with a little bit of age on it, okay? And that's what I did. But I used a bottle of Angostura 7-year to make it, and I didn't quite make it as big as he had suggested with 2 750s. A little smaller, but I kept the spices pretty high because I really wanted to, I guess that's my own personal variation on this. I wanted to really taste something. I wanted this thing to jump out and be different. Following his recipe, 2 750s, modify that, in my case. You know, a vanilla bean, you split it in half and you pull out the seeds, peel of a whole orange, 6 allspice berries, an 8-inch cinnamon stick, and the thing with that is you want to make sure you use real Ceylon cinnamon. Use the real one, and the real one looks like this. It's like all frayable, and you can pull it apart and stuff. That's the good stuff. You want to get 6 cloves in there, about a 1/4 teaspoon of fresh nutmeg, 10 black peppercorns, 2 slices of fresh ginger, and then he makes, you know, sweeten it if you like. You know, you can add sugar to it if you want, and infuse it for 72 hours, about 3 days, something like that. And when you're done, you'll have something that looks like this. And this is my first go around, and I basically just followed his recipe because I wanted to see what my own spiced rum would start like, you know, before I really branched out and started making my own thing. Here we go, Martin Cate style. And it does still smell strongly like orange. I think that orange peel is, it's a lot of orange. Here we go, Martin Cate style. It smells like orange, very strong. Okay, wow, yeah, now that's spiced. That is spicy. That tastes like orange and clove and pepper, and definitely pepper. Those 10 black peppercorns leave a real mark in there. I'm not getting a lot of cinnamon or vanilla, to be perfectly honest. Probably getting allspice with a nutmeg for sure. Absolutely nutmeg, yes. I mean, that tastes like spices though. None of these other ones tasted like spices. This tastes like spices. Wow. Orange, allspice, nutmeg, pepper. I mean, and it's spicy to the point where like it leaves you with a sensation on your tongue. It is still nothing like these other ones. It's strongly orange. It's tricky to say, oh, what's good, what's bad? You know, is this better? I mean, it's like a completely different thing. It almost bears no resemblance to these. I don't know. It's also, these are all probably pretty sweetened. I mean, I added no sugar to mine, so that's a factor here too. I bet if you sweeten this, you get different flavors. I mean, I don't get any vanilla. You know, I have a hard time getting a really quality infusion from a vanilla. I think vanilla, it wants to take its sweet ass time infusing flavors. You talk about like vanilla sugar, where they just like leave a vanilla bean in a jar of sugar kind of indefinitely. And over time, it just turns that sugar vanilla. That might be the kind of thing you'd have to do here. Maybe do like the vanilla first and then hit it with the other spices and let the vanilla stay in there for like a week, a month, something like that. Or maybe I just needed a lot more vanilla. I don't know. The only thing left to do maybe is to throw these in with some Coke and see if any of that's any good. So I guess right after this, I'll try these and I'll try a couple of them in Coke. A few of them were standouts. I have a fun idea. My fun idea. I was gonna do 4 of them in Coke, but then like there's no baseline to compare them against. So what if one of them is gonna get Plantation 3-star? It's a light rum. This is a fairly neutral rum. I have a funny feeling that in a Coke, it doesn't matter which rum you use. So let's find out. The ones that I thought were the most interesting, obviously we got to do our own, which I do think has a chance of being really unique. This will be our control, so to speak. I think you do Captain Morgan. I think we do the Blackpool, and then we'll get the Sailor Jerry and the Kraken. Those kind of represented sufficiently different like design philosophies, right? Look, man, this is not scientific. I'm getting the glassware and stuff that I got, and that's that. So here we go. A little squeeze of that. Everybody gets a twist. Everybody gets 1.5 ounces of rum. Normally I would free pour this, but in the interest of science, everybody's gonna get an exact 2-to-1 ratio to Coke. 3 ounces of Coke. And I'll give them a little stir. Make sure they're all incorporated. All right, here we go. Starting from the left, Plantation. Light, Coke, lime. Not a lot going on. No complaints. This is Captain Morgan. Okay, so first off, my theory was wrong. Different spiced rums immediately read differently in a Coke. This tastes like a vanilla Coke. This doesn't. That's just a fact. It does taste like a vanilla Coke. A little something else in there too. Maybe the lime with these spiced rums is kind of a mistake. I'm so used to making Cuba Libres. Basically, it tastes like a vanilla Coke. I don't think there's a lot more to say about the Captain Morgan, but I do see how like that's a use for these. This doesn't taste like a vanilla Coke at all though with the Plantation. This tastes like a Cuba Libre, which is much louder with the lime, much more citrusy. So yeah, all right, so I was wrong. Okay, Coca-Cola is not loud enough that like whatever rum you put in doesn't matter. This is great, but it is fundamentally different from this. This is a much sweeter, much more approachable, much more vanilla candy-like drink. Totally tastes like a vanilla Coke. The more I sip it, it just tastes like vanilla Coke. Oh yeah. This is the Lemon Heart, the Blackpool. And it tastes like a cherry Coke with a vanilla aftertaste. This is the Sailor Jerry. And it tastes like a cherry vanilla Coke, but less loudly than the Blackpool. This is the Kraken. Every time I've ever slandered the name of the Kraken, people tell me, you gotta do a Kraken and Coke. It's the greatest thing ever. So here it is, the greatest cocktail ever, Kraken and Coke. It's the worst one of the bunch. It tastes disgusting. fucking foul. More than ever, it just tastes like sucking up the tar from the top of a fucking hookah pipe. Oh my God, that is bad. I'm pouring this out. I am done with this bottle after this, man. That has gotta go. That is bad stuff. I don't like the Kraken. I don't like the Kraken. The Kraken doesn't like me, and I don't think you like the Kraken either. Screw the Kraken. This is Martin Cate's spiced rum in Coke. That's awesome. That's nothing like these other ones. Wow, that's really cool. Okay, so the orange is really loud in that, in spite of the twisted lime, but it's super cool because it almost becomes like an orange Coke, and then it has like these spice notes. Oh man, that's really neat. I actually really like that. The nutmeg and allspice go with the Coke so well. It's not something I want every day at all. The clove is a bit much, honestly. I'm not big on clove though. I think if I was gonna build my own spiced rum, it probably just wouldn't have cloves in it. The clove is more activated here with the Coca-Cola for some reason. I don't know why, it just is. And that's not my favorite part, but like, boy, that orange nose, that like nose, yes, but I don't mean the nose. I mean like the flavor profile starts orange. It is really interesting. And then as it evolves into allspice and nutmeg and cinnamon and Coca-Cola, all of that is super interesting. I just kind of don't like where it winds up with the cloves at the end. So I would probably, personally, I would take this recipe, do it again without the cloves. Your own mileage may vary, it's your own personal taste. Of the commercially available rum and Cokes, and I didn't get to sample them all, obviously I hate the Kraken. I truly hate this. Do you, I have to ask you, I mean, it's hard for you to answer. Do you love the Kraken or do you love the branding of the Kraken? Because the branding is awesome. There's no question. It's got this cool handle on it and it's dark and got the big old giant squid eating the boat and everything. It is cool. I've even seen like they have their own glassware and stuff. I really like everything about it is fun. Have you put the Kraken side by side with a bunch of other spiced rums and Coke? I bet if you did, you would think that, ooh, that's weird. It tastes really weird. I don't like this at all. I would say that all three of these produce pretty respectable rum and Cokes. Of the three commercially available rum and Cokes I got available here, I gotta tell you, I don't love any of these. Not a single one of these is like my drink. The Blackpool. The Blackpool was really interesting, but having it again, I'm like, ooh, man, I have a feeling that's gonna make me sick. Like if I had one or two of those, I'm gonna be like, it's gonna turn my stomach. It has a real aggressiveness to it that I don't think is gonna sit well with me. But as like a flavor, it is probably more interesting than a lot of the other spiced rums. But I'm also kind of thinking like I'm strategizing my night. And if that's the case, then I honestly, the Captain Morgan is probably the most approachable. And all it really tastes like is vanilla, so he put it in a Coke, it's a vanilla Coke. The Sailor Jerry is really similar, but with cherry. But what's remarkable about it is that it's 92 proof versus the 70 proof of the Captain Morgan. So it kind of delivers like on a very similar profile, flavor-wise. Maybe not neat, but once you start mixing it, it does. It kind of falls into that place. But with a lot less non-spirit added to it. It seems to be the case, right? Like, because it's still 92 proof, right? That's everything I got to say about spiced rum. Interesting stuff. I gotta tell you, I was a little bit surprised by a few of these findings. I was really surprised. This is fascinating too. This really is, I mean, oh my God, when that first hits your tongue, that is cool. I really like the way that tastes when that opens up in your mouth, man. That is neat. I love that. I don't know what else to do with it though. That's the thing about the spiced rum is like, you go ahead and look, you're not gonna find a recipe for a cocktail that calls for spiced rum. You won't. So although I find this rum and Coke thing to be very interesting, I don't really drink a lot of rum and Cokes because I don't really drink Coke. I don't drink sodas. I just don't. So in my my pursuit of cocktails, it's not going to work out. But I do think that that's pretty interesting, really interesting. Well, that's it. That's the show. Today, I took a look at spiced rum. Finally, people have been asking me to do something with spiced rum since I've slandered its good name a few times on the show. Here it is, a breakdown on spiced rums, a quick history about the non-history of spiced rums, the fact that it was basically came to market in 1984. Captain Morgan, that's it. And a look at some of the big players in the space, and we made our own. I don't know what else I can do with spiced rum. I think we've exhausted it. I think that's it. I think the only other thing to do with spiced rum is to come up with a cocktail, an original cocktail, that really depends on spiced rum. But that's gonna be very hard because each of these presents a very different flavor profile, especially this one. I don't know if that's really a thing that I could tackle. But I don't know what else to do with spiced rum. You can hit me up in the comments and let me know what else I should be doing with spiced rum. I feel like I am closing the book on spiced rum in this one. So thank you so much for watching. You will find me on the social media places currently appearing before your very eyes. I'm on Twitch, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Patreon. I am on Twitter, and I am on TikTok, and all of those places are appearing right there. Go ahead and check me out over there if you want to know about the stuff that I won't talk about here on YouTube. In the meantime, I've been making this show for so darn ding-dong long that I think you probably should see some of these other episodes that I've made over the past years that I've been making the show. Maybe you could like and subscribe. I don't know. I don't think it matters. YouTube tells us it matters. Some people say it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't think it matters. You do whatever you want with that. But hey, never stop watching the show. That'd be great. And never stop watching YouTube while you're watching the show. That's the most important thing. Don't stop watching YouTube while you're watching HTD. That'd be great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Just let it autoplay now for another 8 hours while you doze off. That would be the best thing you could possibly do for me and my show. And my child, that you can hear crying in the background. She's very hungry, and only you can feed her. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you with another episode of HTD very, very soon. Goodbye.